This week in Iowa, Molly Tibbetts' body's been found. What's so controversial about the accused killer? Then we check in with Mike Koenig, Secretary of Ag. Plus, outgoing Senator David Johnson is voting for a Dem this fall. We ask why. And do female candidates hurt down-ballot initiatives? Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us here on This Week in Iowa. I'm Sabrina Ahmed. A very tragic end to a story that's been getting national attention. After more than a month of hopeful searching, Molly Tibbetts was found dead this week. Her death is being felt all around the nation and around her community in Brooklyn, Iowa. This week, we learned Molly's body was found in a cornfield in rural Poweshiek County. Authorities were led there by Christian Rivera. Rivera is now charged with murder in Tibbetts' death. He's a 24-year-old man living in Brooklyn. He's also an undocumented immigrant from Mexico. Rivera appeared in court for the first time this week. His bond set at $5 million. His lawyer tried to kick the media out, but the judge rejected that. Rivera's family and friends were in court watching from the benches. As we mentioned, Rivera is an undocumented immigrant. He's been working at Yarrowby Farms in Molly's hometown for 4 years. We're learning more about how he was hired on that local dairy farm managed by the Lang family. The Lang family held a press conference about their farm's operation and how they vetted Christian Rivera.
Our practice is to take a second enhanced step to verify the applicant's identification. We screen every applicant through the Social Security Administration's Social Security Number Verification Service. 2 forms of identification is the standard by which employers often validate someone's employment eligibility. In addition, we ran that information through the verification service and the information came back verified.
Many people still have questions about how this man was able to work in Iowa for so long. We asked Senator Chuck Grassley how he's going to track down information from the feds about Christian Rivera.
I write a letter to the Secretary of Homeland Security, that's Mrs. Nielsen, to ask her for all the details I can about what the Homeland Security Department knows about this individual. I hope to have a briefing on that before the end of the week and get an update on what the situation is. But it's a very sad situation.
We dug into Mr. Rivera's immigration situation, and according to a spokesperson from the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, Rivera, quote, did not make any DACA requests, nor were any grants given. We have found no record in our systems indicating he has any lawful immigration status. From the beginning, the search for Molly grabbed national attention, and Tuesday night, just after we learned what happened to Molly, President Trump spoke at a rally in West Virginia. He referenced Molly's death and her accused killer.
You heard about today with the illegal alien coming in, very sadly, from Mexico, and you saw what happened to that incredible, beautiful young woman. Should have never happened. Illegally in our country.
Local politicians mirroring Trump's language. Governor Reynolds said, quote, our immigration system allowed a predator like this to live in our community. The governor also said that she spoke with Molly's family, saying, quote, I shared with them my hope that they can find comfort knowing that God does not leave us to suffer alone. Even in our darkest moments, he will comfort and heal our broken hearts. And our hearts are also with the Tibbetts family. On the other side of the aisle, ACLU of Iowa issued this statement. It reads in part, our hearts grieve at the news of Molly Tibbetts' death. It's important to remind ourselves that sadly, people of all races and levels of citizenship commit crimes. We need to change topics and take a quick break. Coming up next, we'll talk to Mike Koenig about illegal immigration in our state and also about his campaign. Stick with us.
Looks good.
Juicy.
Imagine an intelligent network that's designed to evolve at the pace of an ever-changing world. The internet you depend on, but faster. Business internet speed up to 25 times faster. Powering advanced products that will transform the way you do business. Is your network ready? Ours is now. Revolutionize your business with Mediacom.
Welcome to Toyota's National Clearance Event.
Thanks. I hear it's your biggest event of the year.
Yeah, you can save on the remaining 2018s. And with super low APR financing and great lease deals, any of these Toyotas can be yours. We have a few more.
Get $1,500 customer cash on a new 2018 Corolla, or lease a new 2018 Corolla for just $209 per month with $1,500 lease bonus cash.
Oh, wow.
Toyota, let's go places.
You're watching This Week in Iowa, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Iowa.
Welcome back, everyone. We are joined now by Mike Naig, who is the current appointed Secretary of Ag in the state of Iowa. Mike, thank you so much for being here once again.
Great to be back with you.
So the big news this week is, of course, that Molly Tippett's body was found.
Right.
An absolutely tragic story.
Right.
And she was found on an Iowa farm. The man charged with her murder worked on another Iowa farm. Of course, like I said, it's a total tragedy, but one of the headlines that's coming from all of this is that her accused killer is an undocumented worker in the ag industry in our state. So first, tell us what your role is as Ag Secretary in helping farmers to find help and maybe vet them.
You bet. Well, first of all, what a terrible tragedy. And as a parent, I can't even imagine what that pain feels like. And so just absolutely my heart goes out to the family, and prayers for the community as they heal from this. It's got to be very, very raw right now. And so thoughts and prayers with Molly's family and the community as well. It's no doubt that as we look at labor across agriculture and across Iowa, there are some challenges in terms of shortage of workforce. And so that's something I hear a lot about when I travel the state. Now, there's a lot of different things that go into that, right? That you know, I talk a lot about the need to attract and retain our young people in particular, who can stay in their community and work in an ag career. And how do we connect those dots? And how do we work with our community colleges and high schools to make sure that we provide that talent that we need in agriculture? But immigrant labor is a reality in the state of Iowa. It's a need, and we need to make sure that that's a viable option for our farms and businesses. I think this case is bringing out some issues around how can we verify that a worker is indeed legal and has that status. Our employers that we talk to across the state and farms, they don't want to employ an illegal immigrant in their business, and they go to great lengths to make sure that they do that. So what we continue to do is encourage folks to make sure they're educating themselves on the law and the different ways to verify the documentation and the legality of their employees. But it's so E-Verify and some other things like that. We need to make sure that those systems work and are available for our businesses.
So we kind of touched on this a little bit, but many farmers employ undocumented workers either knowingly or unknowingly.
And I think most
unknowingly.
When I travel and talk with folks about this issue, it's our businesses and our farmers don't want to knowingly employ these folks, and so they go to great lengths to do that. And there should be penalties for folks who do knowingly employ illegal immigrants.
But how do they find some of these not highly skilled workers? You know, we talk so often about some of these efforts of Future Ready Iowa and things going on across the state that help to train workers to have some of those associate's degrees and stuff. But these people are not highly educated, and this is a different kind of labor that's needed.
It's really across the board, right? And again, that again underscores the need to make sure that we've got a workable ag worker program that works. It's predictable, it's legal, it's predictable for the employee, it's predictable for the employer, And I think it underscores the need to make sure that we've got that type of system and approach in our country.
Do you think that Iowa should require the use of E-Verify in the ag industry?
I think it's something we should really look at because, you know, right now you've got a significant percent of employers who use E-Verify. You know, I'd want to make sure I was visiting with all the stakeholders who that would impact, but it seems like a tool that works, and folks should absolutely be encouraged to do it. And I think we should look at whether or not it should be mandatory.
Okay, so let's switch gears real quick. We have a few minutes left. Let's talk about your campaign to maintain your position as Ag Secretary. How are things going? You kind of mentioned after the Iowa State Fair, things begin to really ramp up again.
That's right. Well, first of all, what a great summer. It's gone fast, and boy, as an Ag Secretary, the State Fair is just a wonderful opportunity to connect with Iowans, and we were out there every day.
It's kind of your playground.
Well, it is, and I tell you, I kept saying it's like the Super Bowl of agriculture. It's the state championship at a minimum, and so we had a lot of fun and connected with Iowans. But you know, generally, as I look at at whether it's my job as secretary in the official role or whether it's what we're doing on the campaign side of things, the important thing to do is to get out, connect with Iowans, visit with folks, hear what's on their minds, and again, we're doing that on the official side, also on the campaign side.
Because you were able to connect with so many Iowans, what was the #1 issue that you heard from farmers that they're afraid of and that will affect their vote for all things across the ballot?
Well, I tell you, the top of mind issue, you can package a lot of things into this, but there's a tremendous amount of uncertainty in agriculture right now, whether you're talking about trade. And I would say that's the #1 issue that you're hearing from folks is concerns about the uncertainty in our export markets, China in particular, but NAFTA as well. And so I think that's driving a lot of concern, and folks are interested in that. Also, you know, we had a chance to welcome the EPA administrator to the fair and talked a lot about the renewable fuels standard, and so E15 and what's happening with the RFS is also a top of mind issue for folks as well. So I'm hearing a lot about those two issues.
Okay, Secretary Naig, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good to be with you.
I always wish we had more time.
Absolutely.
Short break, everyone, and we'll be right back.
Friday Night Blitz is back, a full hour telling the stories of your teams. Local 5 Sports shows you more highlights from more games than anyone else. Share with us using #Local5Blitz and watch Fridays at 10:35 on Local 5.
Friday Night Blitz is sponsored by Fairway.
Oh, there's something so real about Central Iowa, and I know without a doubt I'm not alone. And I love living local. Central Iowa is where I want to be. Said I love living local. It's the only kind of beer I want to breathe. We are Iowa, and it's everything to me.
She believes people are watching her.
Barack Obama, I feel like, is one of my voyeurs.
We started showering in a swimsuit.
I felt like I could hear cat calls from across the pond.
Her ex claims her voyeurs.
You've never seen one.
It's in her head.
Tore their marriage apart.
You are hearing voices that told you what?
Just leave him. You're too good for him.
Stop.
All new Dr. Phil.
Monday at 4 on Local 5.
From the hit show Suits,
how far back do we go?
Wendell Pierce.
35 years. Little Harry Connick Jr. He was hanging out with all the hip cats.
Then one city, 2 chefs. It's Food Fight DC.
There's about to be a culinary smackdown, y'all.
And Feeding America's Hungry.
It's not just people that are homeless. It is taking place in every city.
Plus 3 little big voices.
Like this, the 4th, the 5th.
Monday at 3 on Local 5.
Friday Night Blitz is back, a full hour telling the stories of your teams. Local 5 Sports shows you more highlights from more games than anyone else. Share with us using #Local5Blitz and watch Fridays at 10:35 on Local 5.
Friday Night Blitz is sponsored by Fairway. You're watching This Week in Iowa, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Iowa.
Welcome back, everyone. I am joined now by outgoing Senator David Johnson, the once Republican, now independent state lawmaker from Ocheyedan. Thank you so much for being here.
It's good to be back.
Hey, it's nice to see you.
Uh-huh.
Is it good to be seen?
Oh, absolutely. It's good to be seen.
So you are choosing not to run for re-election in your Senate seat. Tell us why.
Well, I've served for 20 years as an independent in a very red area of the state, let's say. It would have been very, very difficult. But I want to spend more time. We were just talking about our plans for travel. And my family is spread all across the country. And I haven't had a chance the last 20 years to really spend time with them. My mother's moved back to Iowa. You know, she's 89 years old, and I want to make sure that I'm spending enough time with her now that she's here. And it's working out just great. There's all kinds of things that I've wanted to do, and so I'm going to continue to travel and just take time. But I'll be politically involved.
Well, speaking of, as I mentioned, former Republican turned independent, now endorsing a Democratic candidate for governor, Fred Hubbell.
That's right.
Why?
I think that Fred Hubbell is what this state needs right now. Our political landscape is very poisoned, and I believe that Fred Hubbell and Rita Hart are the antidote for that. I believe that Fred, in my conversations with him, wants to end the partisan divide that we have, work with everybody for the best interest of all Iowans, or as many Iowans as possible, and that's not happening right now.
So let's talk about what is happening right now. What do you believe is wrong with the way that Governor Reynolds is governing? And also talk to me about if you believe she's poised to put up a pretty big fight come the election in November.
Well, let's talk about what news came out today. The explosive news, very disappointing news, but it reflects on Kim Reynolds' lack of leadership. We're going to pay another $340 million to the 2 managed care companies that are running our Medicaid system. And this is on top of all the money over the years that we've been paying them. I voted to terminate these contracts 3 years ago because I knew what they represented. They represented being responsible not to the legislature or to the administration, but to their shareholders. These are 2 private, out-of-state, for-profit companies that we're going to pay. When I say we, taxpayers like you and everyone watching here today, they're going to have to pay out. And that's going to mean that they're going to have to cut services to more people. This is just wrong, and I know that Fred Hubbell on day one is going to start rolling this back, which is exactly what we want to do. We were saving so much money when it was a government-run program than when we saw Terry Branstad unilaterally decide to go to private Medicaid and then management, and then Kim Reynolds has continued that on. She really represents just another 4 years of Terry Branstad.
But they say the system was broken. It wasn't going to sustain itself.
Well,
it wasn't going to last.
I had 18 years of experience working on the budget for Health and Human Services. I disagree with that very much. The administrative costs were much less. We could have done a better job.
So you were the only independent senator in the State House in 2018. Now you're leaving. Do you think more will follow suit? Republicans will turn to independents, or potentially Democrats will side with the independent party?
There's an independent movement all across the country at all levels of government, from any partisan office at the local level to all the way up to statewide office. We have one governor, Bill Walker of Alaska, who's an independent, and we have state lawmakers, people running for Congress who are independents. There are a number of groups out there, but I decided that we didn't have that option here in Iowa right now. I care about this state. I was born and raised in this state, and I don't like the direction that it's going.
Quick piece of advice for any politician who feels like they want to, or aspiring politician who feels like they want to run for office, but they don't belong to a party.
If they don't, all you have to do is speak the truth. If you speak the truth and you listen to people, you'll do just fine.
Senator David Johnson, thank you so much.
You bet.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me here,
Sabrina. Short break, everyone. We'll be right back.
Used to be, this is how you'd send a note. Today, everything's faster and more efficient, but it seems like Washington never got the message.
In state government, Cindy Axne focused on efficiency and cut waste without cutting services, helping save tens of millions of dollars. As a business owner, Axne has balanced the books and kept spending in check.
I'm Cindy Axne, and I have a message for Congress. It's time we make government work smarter so that our dollar goes further. That's why I approve this ad.
Welcome to Quick Trip. Need a dog sitter? Need a hand? Need your wallet? Need some help? Need a slice?
Need some roller therapy?
Need an extra large?
spider out of your car?
I'm not going in there.
Yeah, that actually happened.
If you need it, we have it. QT, more than a gas station.
At Local 5 on your side means answers to your questions.
And we're just doing the stories that the community wants us to do, to empower you with something as a viewer that you can move forward with.
What drives these people to go above and beyond and be exceptional Iowans? That's stuff we can all use in our own lives.
To be able to be that line of connection for people is huge to them. And they can reach out to Local 5, and they're going to get answers.
We are Iowa, and it's everything to me.
Alexa, give me my Local 5 news headlines.
I'm Local 5's Sabrina Ahmed with today's top stories.
Set up your flash briefings by adding the We Are Iowa skills to your Alexa app.
You'll hear Local 5's top news stories updated 4 times a day.
And plan your day with We Are Iowa's most accurate weather team, as I tell you if you need this or these.
Go to weareiowa.com/Alexa for easy setup instructions.
Alexa, tell me We Are Iowa's most accurate forecast.
I'm Local 5 meteorologist Taylor Canoes.
You're watching This Week in Iowa, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Iowa.
Welcome back, everyone. We are finishing off our show with Dave Anderson, a professor at Iowa State University, and his recent research that shows when women are at the top of the ticket, it actually hurts other down ballot candidates. So can you talk to us, first of all, Dave, about your findings?
Sure. So me and my co-author, Tessa DeTanto, looked at what happens when multiple women run on the ballot. And what we find is that when more women are on the ballot, people are more skeptical about women candidates in general, but particularly about those down ballot races where people just don't learn very much about the candidates.
Okay, so tell us about the study. How was it conducted? How can you be sure that it's mimicking this election results properly, and why is that?
So the study we ran that we just published uses 2 experiments where we run campaign simulations. We present some subjects in a lab with simulated campaigns, and the only manipulation we have is we either tell them one of the candidates is a man or a woman. And we actually can manipulate all the candidates like that. And everything else about the candidates is the same. And what we find is that when we add more women to the ballot, voters start evaluating those women candidates lower than if they were a man.
So why do you believe that that's the result?
Well, what we believe is going on is stereotyping. That when people don't know much about a political candidate, they have to assume things about them. And we all know that there are a few things that we all rely on. Partisanship is one big one. If you know that a candidate is a Republican, for example, you can guess that they're a pro-life candidate. You're not sure, but you can make a pretty educated guess. Well, the same things work for gender. And we know that most voters still, if you ask them about a hypothetical candidate, one of the first things they think of is that that candidate should be a white man. And that's because historically in the United States, almost all political office holders are white men. So when they see somebody who's not a white man running for office, people wonder, well, is this person similarly qualified? They look different, and they tend to want to seek out more information about non-white men, and then they doubt their credentials a little bit more.
What do you believe this meant for the election with Hillary Clinton running for president?
So we've also done some research on actual election results, and we do find that in the Democratic Party, women who ran farther down the ballot below Hillary Clinton did a little bit worse than we would have expected, given polling and everything else that was going on in 2016.
So with a record number of women on the ballot this year, come November, what will that mean for turnout and for the way people vote?
Well, it probably won't affect turnout very much.
Okay.
But it is likely that when people get into the ballot, we know that most people don't spend a ton of time learning about political candidates. They usually focus on the top of the ballot. So this year, we expect that the governor race is going to dominate in Iowa, and people will go to the ballot and vote for gubernatorial candidates with a pretty good opinion on who they like. But as they get farther down the ballot, those stereotypes will kick in, and people will rely more on partisanship and, when appropriate, gender. And that can hurt women candidates.
So what do you believe can be done to help women who are running for office fix this gender bias?
Preparation and time, really. As we progress, and we have seen a steady increase in the number of women candidates and women who win elected office, and as more women hold elected office, we think these stereotypes will get weaker and weaker. And for any women running for office, I think it's just important to remember that gender does matter, and it's not something that's going to go away in this election cycle, and that voters will continue to ask women candidates things about, like, are you really qualified for this office? Are you really competent enough for this office? Are you strong enough to hold it? And women just have to be prepared to answer those questions.
Do you believe that when someone says, for example, that Kim Reynolds is the first female governor of Iowa, and she says, I'm not doing this to be the first female governor of Iowa, I'm doing this to be the best governor, is that the right way to handle that kind of an answer, or should she be taking it more head on and saying, yes, I am a woman and I'm doing this because I'm a woman?
I think both strategies can work.
Okay.
I think for a lot of voters who really care about gender, hearing that Kim Reynolds wants to be a governor and not necessarily a woman governor is reassuring to them, because it makes her seem more in line with what they expect a political office holder to be.
Where can we find out more information about this study?
Iowa State University has out a press release on it, and people can always look me up online, and I will link to it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Short break, everyone. We'll be right back.
The things we do for the ones we love. People are amazing. We're here to help keep them that way. Unity Point Health. Know how much you matter to this world.
Over $1 billion for injured clients. $1 billion. Why call anyone else? Call Hupy and Abraham right now.
Local 5 News headlines are now on Amazon Alexa. Enable the We Are Iowa skill today. Go to weareiowa.com/Alexa for easy instructions.
From the hit show Suits,
How far back did we go?
Wendell Pierce.
35 years. Little Harry Connick Jr. He was hanging out with all the hip cats.
Then one city, 2 chefs. It's Food Fight DC.
There's about to be a culinary smackdown, y'all.
And feeding America's hungry.
It's not just people that are homeless. It is taking place in every city.
Plus 3 little big voices.
Like this, the 4th, the 5th.
Monday at 3 on Local 5.
This station seeks groups that regularly send information about work opportunities to job applicants or that have applicants to refer. If your group would like to receive notification of job vacancies at our station, contact us by U.S. mail, email, or by calling 457-9645. Individuals interested in employment in the broadcast industry are encouraged to visit weareiowa.com for a list of current job openings. Nexstar Broadcasting Companies are an equal opportunity employer.
Thank you so much for joining us here on This Week in Iowa. Next week, we break down a big Senate race that's shaking up the Iowa election this November. We hope to see you again next Sunday.